Namaskaram. Welcome to the world of air traffic controllers. As an air traffic controller, a murder that took place in Switzerland in 2004 has shocked me very badly. A 35-year-old on Mr. Peter Nielsen was brutally stabbed to death by a Russian at the victim's residence near Zurich on February 24, 2004. Even though that tragic incident took place thousands of miles away from me, it disturbed me a lot because the victim was an air traffic controller and he was killed in his line of duty. On that fateful day, Peter was sitting in his home with his wife and 3 kids. Then suddenly he saw through the window an intruder, a stranger, a shabby-looking man, sitting in his garden and staring at his door. He immediately came out and inquired. He took out a photograph and shown. It was a photo of 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Do you recognize them? Peter said, no. They were my kids. Ah, good. Were they not cute? Yes, they are very cute. They were killed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You killed them. Me? No. You are mistaken. I have not killed them. You have mistaken me for somebody else. No, I am not mistaken. You are Peter Nielsen. You are the air traffic controller under whose watch the midair collision took place over Uberlingen 2 years ago. My dear friends, that was correct. 2 years ago, on July 1st, 2002, at 9:35 p.m., a midair collision took place over a place called Uberlingen in southern Germany at 35,000 feet between a Russian chartered Tupolev and a cargo Boeing 757. There were no survivors. All the 71 on board were killed. Among them were his 2 kids and his wife. This man was devastated. He held the air traffic controller on duty responsible for the crash, and he took revenge. There were more than 20 cuts all over his body and face. So, I would like to dedicate my speech to the fond memories of my fallen hero, Mr. Peter Nielsen, the air traffic controller of Swiss Guide, which is a company that provides air traffic services to Switzerland. The tragic part is that the crash investigation report, which was released 2 months after this murder, put the blame mainly on the procedure, the standard operating procedure of the anti-collision equipment installed in the aircraft. That equipment is called TCAS, TCAS, Traffic Collision Avoidance System. TCAS identifies the potential collision aircraft traffic 1 minute before the collision. And 40 seconds before the collision, it advises evasive measures for the pilots to execute immediately to avoid the collision. But the collision can be avoided only if both the pilots follow the instructions of the TCAS. But in our case, sadly, due to a difference in SOPs, the Russian pilot didn't follow the TCAS instruction, and the cargo pilot followed the TCAS instruction, and they collided at 34,890 feet. A midair collision took place in India also, 6 years before the Uberlingen crash. That was on 12 November 1996 at 6:40 p.m. in the evening, over a place called Charki Dadri in Haryana at 14,000 feet, between a Saudi Boeing 747 and a Kazakhstan Airlines Illusion 76. Saudi Airlines was departing from Delhi and was climbing. Kazakhstan was descending to land at Delhi. Both are on the same flight path, reciprocal to each other. So the Delhi air traffic controller planned to initially climb Saudi to 14,000 feet and initially descend Kazakhstan to 15,000 feet. And once they cross each other, give climb to Saudi and give descent to Kazakh. Accordingly, he gave the instructions to both the aircraft and both of them acknowledged the instruction. Following the instruction, Saudi climbed and was maintaining 14,000 feet. But for what reason we don't know, Kazakhstan didn't level off at 15,000 feet, but continued its descent well below 15,000 feet towards 14,000 feet and collided. Please don't get scared. Probability of such an accident happening today is very rare because due to the advancement in technology, today we have 4 lines of defenses against such situation. First line of defense. The moment a pilot plans to climb or descend to a particular altitude, that planning is displayed on the radar screen of the air traffic controller due to the ATC automation system. Second line of defense. Earlier, we were using primary radar system which couldn't give the altitude information of the aircraft to the controller. But now we are using secondary radar system which can display the altitude information provided the aircraft carries an equipment called transponder. Third line of defense. If 2 aircrafts are coming on a collision course, then the air traffic controller is alerted well in advance by the ATC automation system. And fourth line of defense is TCAS, which is mandatory today. Not only TCAS, transponder also is mandatory for all the aircraft flying in the Indian airspace. Entire Indian airspace is now brought under the coverage of secondary radar system. And all the ATC systems in India are automated. So your sky is safe. And in this lecture, I'm happy to inform you that I played a humble role in the automation of the ATC systems of 39 airports in India during my 17 years of tenure at Trivandrum International Airport. Just now I told, the secondary radar system is more advanced than the primary radar system. But this less advanced primary radar system once helped to prevent an aircraft from crashing into the Indian Ocean. I witnessed it. It was in 1998 or 99. The aircraft departed from Chennai to Singapore. At 29,000 feet or Indian Ocean, it experienced a free fall. Luckily, it stabilized at 15,000 feet. There were no casualties. Those who didn't wear seatbelt suffered fatal injuries. So please always wear seatbelt in flight also. In the cockpit, pilot got panicked. He could fly the aircraft, but he lost orientation. He lost the direction sense. He frantically called the air traffic controller at Chennai. He wanted to come back to Chennai, but he didn't know which direction he should fly. But the air traffic controller, one Mr. Venkatraman, one of the best radar controllers we could ever produce, he, with the help of the primary radar system, navigated the aircraft back to Chennai safely. This wouldn't have been possible if it were a secondary radar, because for functioning, the secondary radar requires transponder in the aircraft. In such a free fall, I am sure the transponder equipment would have got damaged. But for the functioning of the second primary radar, it is independent of the equipments inside the aircraft. So the primary radar could help the controller in the navigation. Before winding up, I would like to share with you my personal experience with a near collision situation. It was in 2005 or 6. I was working at Varanasi airport. There were 2 aircrafts. One was maintaining altitude and incoming. Another just departed from Varanasi and was climbing. They were reciprocal to each other, but they were on a slightly different path. That was a night. The weather was very bad. There were thunder clouds all around. Normally, aircraft don't fly through the clouds. They circumvent the clouds and fly. My departing aircraft saw in its weather radar thunderclouds ahead on its flight path. So he wanted to turn left to avoid the clouds. For carrying out any such maneuvers, like turning left, right, climb, or descend, the aircraft has to take positive clearance from the air traffic controller. That's mandatory. So he asked my permission to turn right. But if he turned right, he'll go and hit the incoming aircraft. So I told him, you can turn right provided you restrict your climb to an altitude lower than the altitude maintained by the incoming aircraft. He said, not possible. He cannot restrict his climb. He has to climb higher because there are thunderclouds at the lower altitude also. Then I told, okay, in that case you turn right and climb. He said, that is also not possible because of the clouds on the right side. He has only one option, turn left and climb unrestricted. So I'm having only one option, okay. I thought that I will tell the incoming aircraft to turn right and so that he can avoid the flight path. But he also told he cannot turn right because of the clouds on the right side. Now I am left with only one option. Climb the incoming aircraft to an altitude higher than the final altitude of the departing aircraft. That also he refused, saying that my aircraft is too heavy to climb higher. Now I exhausted all the options. So I refused the left turn request of the departing flight. But then he said, at any cost, he had to turn left. He had to avoid the thunderclouds and he turned left. I was shocked. I could see them on my radar. It is heading towards another aircraft. In 5 minutes, it is going to collide with that aircraft. And I don't know what to do next. And I don't have time to think also. Because these two are not the only aircraft I was handling at that time. There were 25 aircraft working with me at the same time. And this was not the only traffic conflict I was supposed to deal with. There are so many more complex waiting for my attention. I sat there frozen. I missed a heartbeat. I had to do something unorthodox immediately. So I shouted at the pilot, if you are heading on this direction, you are going to hit the aircraft. In 5 minutes, you are going to clash with the aircraft. Turn right now. Yes, I am going to call the Air Force. And I told the incoming aircraft, from your left side, one aircraft is coming towards you. It is going to hit you in 5 minutes. He is not obeying any of my instructions, and you are also not obeying any of my instructions. Turn right now if you want to avoid collision. Sky was silent. All the aircrafts kept quiet. Because they knew that some situation was developing. They didn't want to disturb me. These two pilots also suddenly realized the gravity of the situation. They immediately, both of them, turned right. And the traffic was resolved. That situation was saved by a lie. That Air Force thing was a lie. Because there was no provision for me to take the help of Air Force to save such situation. But I don't know. It came out of my mouth. It's a stressful job, my dear friends. It is one of the 10 most stressful jobs in the world as per ILO. To release my stress after office hours, I pursue my passion. My passion is acting, direction, script. I act in theater and TV serials. I direct and script for theater. Now also I'm stressed. For the last 15 minutes I'm talking with you. So I would release my stress with your permission. I would like to enact a line from Shakespeare. You too, Brutus, then falls Caesar. Shakespeare wrote it as et tu, Brute, that is Latin, et tu, Brute, then falls Caesar. You may be knowing that Caesar was assassinated by his senators within the Senate. In the Senate, they were not supposed to carry weapons, but these murderers, they carried the weapons, they smuggled the weapons inside, and they were attacking. Caesar got shocked when he saw Brutus among them, because Brutus was like a son for him. He treated him like a son. So, but for the other people, Then falls Caesar. Thank you.